What's up everyone? Today we're going to do an assembly of the 10 cubic foot tow behind steel dump cart, and this is the one with just the 500-pound capacity, as you guys can see right there. I do believe this one is made by Yardworks, but it's not, there's no brand name or anything on it, so I'm not entirely sure, but I do believe it's made by Yardworks. For starters, I'm going to point out that this thing is packaged very, very nicely. I mean, everything is where it should be, and everything's well labeled, and I really like this. They have everything perfectly labeled out. So it's no guesswork at all. You just read your instructions, follow this. Of course, we're going to set everything out and go over assembly anyway. So you guys, for all my visual owners, if you're like me and the instructions aren't quite clear enough, we're going to go over it in this video so you guys will be able to see. First thing I like doing is unboxing everything and getting everything set out to where I can see exactly what I got and pairing things up. For example, I know I've got two wheels here, so we're going to set the two wheels together, and so on and so forth. So I now have everything out of the box, and any pairs have now been matched up. Like there's two pairs, they're identical. Those are actually the two sides, and I know that because of the sticker down there. So ideally you want to have a lot more space, but as you guys know, I've got a lot of equipment in my garage, so we're going to be working in this general area here and trying to do the best we can. Before we even get started, if for whatever reason the instructions aren't clear enough for you, you can always resort back to the box. And you can always just look at the pictures and see where everything is. For example, like there's the sticker I said, there's the sides. So I know that's on the sides. This is obviously the bottom of it. So you can always resort back to that so you have an idea of where the parts go, and then that might help you. Of course, what this also does is, there you guys go, when you lay everything out, you can see in the instructions manual, they have everything listed by letters going from A all the way to N. So that's just a little reference point. You can come back to this as you're going through the instructions to see exactly what needs to be done. Start by grabbing the bed pan, which looks like this, obviously the bigger piece. We're going to take the plastic off and we're going to attach the tailgate bracket piece to it. I'm going to start by mounting the reinforcement tailgate bracket, or the tailgate reinforcement bracket, which looks like this piece right here. We're going to mount that to the bed floor. Now, as a little tip, just so you guys know, the lip is the bottom of the cart, believe it or not. So this is actually the very bottom. The wheels will be like right here, give or take. So we're going to install this just like this, with the lip on the outside right here. Going to slide in just like that on both sides, and you're going to put 4 screws and hex nuts right there, but do not tighten them. Screws and nuts you want is CC, which is these, and DD, which is these. So we're actually going to cut this open to where we don't have to dump everything out, but we can still grab them. When you're installing the screws and nuts, you actually are going to install it from the other side up, like that, and then it will go into that, just like that. So you guys can see what side. The lip is facing the ceiling, the lip is on top of that, if that makes sense. And then you put the nut on top of that. Again, remember, this is actually the bottom of the cart, and you want a very smooth surface on the inside of where you're actually dumping so nothing catches. Again, one thing I did is I took a knife like that and I actually just slit right down both the nuts and the screws to where I can actually just reach in there and get what I need, just like this and like this, without dumping them out, and I can still have them labeled for future reference. It should look something like this so far. You got your nuts up there. The lip again is facing the ceiling, and it's just like that. Now you don't want to tighten those just yet. Now you're going to want to turn it on its side to make mounting the side panels much easier, because the side panels are the next step. So we're going to grab those, and again, the side panels are the ones that have the sticker that says 10 cubic feet on them. So I've got a side panel here, so you want the sticker to be closest to the tailgate. And as you guys know, that is the tailgate for the tailgate bracket. So that right here, this would be wrong, because that is going to be closest to where the actual driver is. You want that sticker, again, by the tailgate. Just like this. This is the right one. And now after you get it up there, you're going to mount it. Make sure it's mounted right. You've got this little hook here. You want that to go in, because there is a hole in a hole for a screw. So it should go in just quite like that, and your holes should line up. And it says you're going to put 6 total screws in it. You're actually going to put just 3 screws in this per panel. So you're going to put one here, again right by the sticker. You want this bottom corner, the next one, and then the very next one. You need to leave these 2 holes open on that side and this side, as well as you need to leave these 2 open for the next step. So you should only have a screw here, here, and here. And then once you get the screws in, you can tighten all of these down as well as all of those down from step one. If you're worried you don't have the right tools, don't worry. It comes with 2 wrenches to tighten everything up. Now, if you've got an impactor or socket wrenches or whatever you want to use, go ahead and use those and it'll just make it a little bit faster for you. Now we're going to install the tailgate guides, which mine came in a bundle like this, zip tied together. And there's actually the lever that makes it dump and the hitch mount, if that's what you want to call it, in there with the guides. They were packaged all together for me, so I'm going to open this up and separate those out. You guys can see there's our latch lock lever, and there's our hitch bracket. And then here is the guides, and these are what we're going to be installing. This might be a little hard to see, so if you're looking at it like this, obviously we're still on the tailgate side. There's our sticker, here's the bracket, the reinforcement bracket. We installed one of the first things. And here is our tailgate guide. So looking at it like this, it's kind of hard to see, I know. Looking at it just like that, we're going to install it just like this. Because you have to picture the tailgate's going to swing here and come down and it'll hit this and stop. So we're going to install it like that. And then the same thing for this one. We're going to install this one up here just like this. I don't know how well you guys can see that. I'm sorry. I know it's black and shiny, so it doesn't show up very good. And then we're going to install the screws through there. So I'm going to install one with the bolts and everything, and then I'll show you guys. So here's a different angle of what we got. Obviously we're on the tailgate side of the cart still, and I just wanted to show you guys kind of what we're looking at. And go ahead and put your screws in. After you get the nuts on the other side, you can actually tighten these. And then of course you're going to take your other one and do exactly the same to the other side. Alright, so now coming over to the other side of it, you want to carefully lift it up and let it rest on those back corners. Just like that. And those are the guides that you had just installed for the tailgate. Now you want to find the front panel piece, which is the piece that does not have a lip on the bottom, but it has a lip on the top. Don't get it confused with the tailgate piece that actually has holes in it like that. If you see those holes, that's the tailgate piece. So you don't want to use that for this step. And this one's pretty self-explanatory. Once as you get it just set on top, go ahead and you'll put 10 screws in. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you can go ahead and tighten those once as you get those in. Alright, so it should look something like that. You got all your bolts and nuts and everything in there tightened, and it's sturdy. So next, while we got it upright like this, we're going to install end caps here and there. So you're going to get the little part that looks like this, or the little baggie that looks like this, and you're going to install them just like this. Very simple. Just like that on there. You're going to put a screw and a nut, the same ones that we've been using this whole time. Both the CC and DD, those two right there, we're going to put those through it. So it looks like this when you're done. Of course, it just protects that corner there, their sharp edges, so nobody gets cut on them. Alright, so now we're going to set it back down and we're going to install the last 2 screws and nuts from both CC and DD. They only gave us just enough to do this, so don't lose any. But we're going to actually put them back here near the tailgate. There's just that 1 screw there and the 1 screw on the other side left that we're actually going to put it through, and we're going to go ahead and tighten them now. So now we're going to stand it back up one more time, because now we're going to install the wheel supports under there. Now the wheel supports are these things right here. They look like they've got hinges on both sides of them. So we're going to go ahead and open this up and I'll give you a better look. So there's a better view of them. You guys can see they've got the hinges on it. So we're actually going to take it. You can't get these wrong. It doesn't matter which one you install first. As long as you look at it and you can see where it's bent like that, that flat part, those 2 holes right there, you guys can see them. They're going to line up with those holes right there. And you're going to put the 2 bolts and a nut through it on both of them. And the hinges should line up perfectly. And you're actually going to use the new set of nuts and bolts. You're going to use FF and EE, which EE is actually threaded onto the bolts in there. I recommend having an extra set of hands or a friend to help you, as it's kind of hard to reach around through in there with that and hold that up and get the screw through and get the first nut on, but it can be done with just one person. Also, once as you get the nut and screw through it, do not tighten those yet. You want to go ahead and get the other one on. We're not going to tighten those yet for another couple of steps, but at least get them on and get it on their hand tightened anyways, just enough to where they don't back off and fall off. It'll look something like this once you got it done. And I will give you a pro tip, as these are not easy to get in by yourself. I was able to reach my arms around and hold it and get it in there, but I have pretty long arms. So if you don't have long arms, or you can't reach it, or you don't have an assistant, here's a little pro tip for you. Inside where the screws are, you can actually get a piece of tape. You really want some strong tape, like duct tape, and you can tape over those once you put them in. And as long as you got that tape on tight, it'll actually hold them in long enough to where you can reach around here, hold this up, and spin your nuts on. Next piece we're going to install is the latch stand bracket. It looks just like this. So you guys can see it's got 2 bolts there, or 2 holes, sorry, there and there. And we're going to install it right there and there. Now there is a wrong way to put this on. So looking at the cart just like this, you want that little notch out right there. You want the angle side down and the straight side up. So it's going to be installed just like this. And you guys can see there, maybe after it focuses there, you guys can see that little hole up there. And again, that angle is down and the flat side is straight. So that's how you want it to be installed. Still using the EE and FF bolts now, and this actually should finish up these bolts here. At this point, you shouldn't have any of the leftover screws or nuts from the first assembly. If you have any left over, they either gave you extra, you need to double check, or you missed a screw and nut somewhere. I only have a few pieces left, this being one of them. This is the bar, and here's the lever. Face the bar just like this, with the long slot to the right. And you're going to grab the lever like this with that latch, or that little notch I should say, to the left. And you're going to stick that down in that hole just like that. And now here's where you got to pay attention. And we're going to use the longer screw here with the 3 nuts on it. Now these 2 are jam nuts. We're going to put that on both sides of the latch, but we're not going to make them super tight to where the jam nut, or to where the latch can still operate. I'll show you. We're going to look at it from this angle here. As you guys can see, we have our latch through there just like that. So we are going to take a bolt and run it through that hole into this hole. Not the bottom hole, but this hole. And it's going to come all the way through to this hole. So we're going to take this bolt here, stick it through this hole, and then take one of the jam nuts and spin it on. And get it to spin way, way up this bolt. That should be quite far enough to get us going. And now we're going to take our latch, and you guys can kind of see it. I know there's a shadow, I'm sorry. And we're going to stick this bolt through that hole, not the bottom corner hole, but that hole right there. We're going to stick it through there, just like that. So I'm going to angle the camera down in just one sec. So it'll look something like that. And then we're going to take this other jam nut, again, not the nylon nut, but the jam nut, and we're going to run it this way and run that up. Now this jam nut will need to get moved down more, or send it back up more, because we need to send the bolt all the way through. So we're going to move it way, way up to where we can adjust it. Move that one way, way up to where we can adjust it. And then go ahead and push that bolt all the way through that hole. Give me one sec. Just like that. And then you're going to put the bolt that has, or the nut that has the nylon insert in it right here. And now we're going to make this latch center as best as we can in there. And we're going to run those jam nuts down all the way to it, but not making it super tight to where it doesn't move. But it's still center and straight. So I'll get that done and then I'll show you guys. So it'll look something like that. I'm pretty happy with that. Now I am going to tighten these jam nuts just a little bit, but not too much, because you, like I said, you want to be able to make sure that that still latches like that. So next we're going to install the spring, and they actually gave us the tool to help install the spring. A screwdriver would actually work just as fine for this if you know how to do it with that, but they actually gave you a tool to be able to do it. So we're going to pull the spring out and the spring loading tool. So still looking at where our latch is, we're going to turn it this way, and we are actually going to put the spring here, and it's going to come all the way up and hook right here. So I'm going to see if I can do this without getting in y'all's way to be able to see. So we're going to go like that, and then we're going to take this here and try to move this over so you guys can kind of see it a little better. And this is the part where I fling the spring. This might be better here. We'll do it like this actually. Just like that. So you guys can see it. It's latched there and there. Now I'm actually going to crimp or squeeze these just a little bit on both ends to where it doesn't make it, there we go, sorry, to where it doesn't make it too hard or too easy for it to come out, I should say. And then you can take this and fill, oops, sorry, you guys can't see it. And then you guys can take this and you should be able to spring it. So now we're going to install this onto the cart. So the easiest way to do it, we're actually going to lay the cart down. So let me lay it down and we'll show you how to do it. So looking at the cart like this, you've got your hitch support up here in the front. This is the front, that's the back. You're looking at what you just made with the spring. You're looking at it like this. You want that hole to be in the back because that is actually what's going to hold, or it's going to run the axle, as you guys see over there. It's going to run right through those. So you want to make sure that that is back here and the angled part is in the front. Should look something just like that once you get that part done. The best way to put that in is to just do what I did, do a twisting motion and push at the same time, and you might have to help guide it through everything, but then that's pretty simple. So once you got that through and that is on, you can then go back and tighten up all 8 of these bolts right here and right here. So next we're going to put the wheels on after we got that in, and all you got to do is take one of these washers, which is number HH or letter HH, whichever you want to call it. One washer will go on first, then the wheel with the valve stem sticking out, obviously. After that's on, you're going to put another washer on top of that, and then you'll put one of these little cotter pins through this hole right here, and you're going to do that on both sides. Get your washer, slide it on, take your wheel, try to line it up as best as you can, like that. You take another washer, put it on like there, and then you take your cotter pin and you're going to put it down in that hole, and then you'll actually take pliers and you'll spread this end up and spread that end out so the cotter pin doesn't fly out on you. It should look something like that when you're done, and then go ahead and repeat that same process for the other side. I'm going to turn the cart on its wheels right side up, and we're actually going to install a little pin right in there, which is actually just a safety pin to prevent it from dumping. And that is the JJ pin here. Now we're going to install the hitch bracket, which is this guy right here, and it's going to install just like this. You guys see how it makes that Z shape, I guess you can say. And we're going to put those 2 holes lined up with those 2 holes there, and you're going to put these 2 nuts and washers in it, which is letter AA. We're going to put those 2 in it, and you can go ahead and tighten those up. And then this is your hitch pin, and then that's what's going to keep it safe, and that will actually drop down through it. And lastly, all you have to do is install the tailgate, which should be the last piece over, which, by the way, there is not any extra bolts or screws for this, so make sure you do not lose any. But this, you just slide down into the guides, and it actually goes this way with the lip and the holes facing out, and then this part right here will slide down into the channel just like this. If I can do it with one hand. Just like that on both sides. Just drop it all the way down, and there you go. If you want to dump it, you can just take this out and pull this pin here, and then pull the lever back and it dumps.